Hi, I wanted to touch base with you guys. You guys have been, we're moving through this unit really quickly. Your final draft is, you guys turned in your rough drafts, and you have until Friday at midnight tonight to respond to the rough drafts. And then you have until Monday to revise and write your final essay and submit it at 11:59 by 11:59 on Monday. And then we're going to move straight into Unit 3. So this was a quick unit. I wanted to go over a couple of things. So let's go ahead and check out, we're in Unit 2. Let's go over the prompt for the summary and synthesis essay. Okay, so project 2 summary and synthesis essay with writer's memo. You should hopefully have read this by now, but I just want to highlight, I'm not going to go over every detail because this is part of your homework that you were supposed to have done. I want to point out a couple of things. You have 3 audiences. First, college students. Second, college writing teachers. And third, the editor of the anthology, as you are writing an introduction for an anthology, as according to the prompt. Keep in mind, none of these people are people who have read the articles. So you have to assume they haven't read the articles, and you will have to give enough explanation of the argument so they understand it without having to read it. So basically, you will include this introduction to an anthology with our 4 texts that introduces the 2 texts that you will summarize and describe the overall contours of the conversation. What are the viewpoints of this? Some people say that horror movies have negative effects and they shouldn't be made. Other people say that they reinforce negative stereotypes of women. Others say the opposite, that they are actually empowering women, and others say that it can be a community building activity. There are lots of different nuances. It's not just a pro or a con, like there are lots of different nuances. So this is the type of thing that we're going to explain in this synthesis paragraph. You also will include a writer's memo of 300 words at least, where you explain at least 3 choices that you made in writing your summaries. This could be, why did you choose these particular articles? Why did you choose this quote to paraphrase? To quote and then paraphrase. There's lots of different things that you can, decisions that you make. You will describe 3. They will each be in its own paragraph. So you need that. So this part right here, the expectations and guidelines, this first section is in order to earn a C. So if you don't have these things in this section, you don't get a passing grade. So be in an 11 to 12 point font. Include the opening paragraph explaining the general contours of the conversation. This is the synthesis paragraph. 2 effective summaries, 1 to 2 paragraphs each. The representation of the original text should be accurate and fair. So make sure you don't insert your own opinion or say anything where it's or bias shows. If you say something is just, if you say you don't believe, you don't quite think this is a very effective argument, that's great in the rhetorical analysis, but it's not, it shouldn't be present here in this particular paper. Use your own words to express ideas. Don't use patch writing. Make sure your ideas are coherent, accurate, and comprehensive. Provide useful context. So where is this being published? And who's writing this? So it makes a difference. For example, the one that is from the Spiritual Science Research Foundation, if that article was published on like the New York Times, it would be taken very differently, right? Because of some of the things that come through when it talks about God. So this is useful information where this was published. In-text citations. This is something no one had in the rough draft. That's okay. We have time to add them, and we'll go over MLA in just a minute. Have a title. So you need to have a title, you need to have in-text citations, you need to have a works cited list, and you need to have a writer's memo of at least 300 words. All of these are necessary in order to pass. You can look over this for to get an A or a B. The main difference is the sophistication of your argument, of your summary. That's of your organization, of your use of attributive tags. The more sophisticated, the higher the grade. But I really wanted to point out the things that are needed in order to pass. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the summary and synthesis essay. Let's start with MLA. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this. I'm going to change my font to Times New Roman because it's just a good font. It's in 12 points, nothing else. It has to be double spaced all the way through, so no extra spaces between paragraphs. So we're going to start with our heading. It's left hand justified. You can't decide it goes over to the right hand. MLA is very strict on its rules, as is APA and Chicago, which are different styles that you might use later in your college career, depending on your courses. English usually uses MLA. Science tends to use APA. It depends. So you will put your name first. Then you will put my name as the teacher of the course. Then you will put the course we are in. Then you will put the date, and the date is a little weird. You put the day first. Then you will put the month. You'll spell out the month, so it's February. You can't write FEB, period. It has to be February. And then you put 2019. Now, this is a weird date format, and there's no commas, so just pay attention to that. We are going to use the centering for titles. Now, let's see. We want to make sure we use proper capitalization rules for titles. Capital. Okay, now, pretty much every word in a title is capitalized unless it's a preposition, or it's an article like a or the, only if it's in the middle. If it's the first word, it's always capitalized. And conjunctions like and, but, or so. Everything else is capitalized, so make sure you follow that. We'll go ahead and write justify it. We press the tab to indent. We don't press space. We need to have a proper indentation that's uniform. So this first paragraph will be possibly the synthesis. Will possibly be the synthesis paragraph. You will describe the conversation in varying viewpoints. This paragraph can also be at the end if you prefer. But I do like it at the beginning. It's up to you. But I think it's a great way to introduce the two articles that you'll be summarizing. It should provide the articles' names, both of them, the articles' names, the authors' names. Not all of them have authors, but you can describe this, you can say this, the authors' names, and the context of the articles. Where were they published? Who wrote them? Okay. So that's in your first paragraph. Your next paragraph should be your first summary. You should provide the author's claim and you should provide enough information about the author's arguments that readers who have not read the articles would be able to understand the author's line of reasoning. So some of you have been saying the author uses movies to support his points. That's great, even if you give the names of the movies, but we don't understand how he's using the movies. So if you could add a little bit more information to that kind of sentence. He uses information from Friday the 13th to show that the girl is in a sexual relationship, but the difference is, so it's not that she's sexually pure, but the difference is she is more motivated by schoolwork than by indulging herself, that kind of thing. And she does so, and this is shown in this way, blah, blah. So you want to be able to explain how, not that the author uses the movies, but how the author uses the movies to support his reasoning. Okay. This first summary might take another paragraph. You're following, you will move into your second summary. This summary might take 2 paragraphs. All right, so assuming that these are all full paragraphs with all your information about the authors, we're gonna do a little bit more about MLA. Okay, so one of the things we want to include page numbers. So we are going to insert page numbers. Where does it go? It's over here, isn't it? Page numbers. It is going to be on the right at the top of the page. Okay, yes, right at the top of the page. Then you want to just click on it. You have to put your last name here. My last name is Wason. I'm going to put it right there. And then it's on every page, even though we're only on page 1. Okay. Let's go back to our first summary. We need to make sure we include in-text citations. Make sure to include in-text citations. So let's go ahead and say, according to, let's see. According to the article names are in quotations. Websites and books, basically bigger venues, are in italics. So we're going to put this in quotation. Negative effects of, see how that's, see how this preposition is not capitalized, but everything else is. The comma goes within the quote. According to the article, negative effects of horror movies, and then we have our quote. So we're going to put a new quote to say where the quote begins. I'm just going to make something up instead of looking it up. So I'm going to say blah, 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 blah. So sorry about that. Then we're going to end the quote. We're not going to put punctuation yet because we need to cite it. Now, even though we've already included the name, we need to go ahead and include it again. This one doesn't have an author. It was written by the SSRF blog team, but it's from the SSRF blog, so we can just say that there's no author listed. It's just on the website. So we'll get back to that in the works cited. But in the, you would either put the author's last name or whatever you put in the works cited. So you could put just negative right here in quotes. So we don't have to put the entire thing. We could just put the first word. And then a period. It goes afterwards. Okay, so now that's for the one without the author's name. So if we want to say, according to, let's see, what is the other one? According to maidens and maniacs, and then we'll put the full name of the, there's like more. And then according to maidens and maniacs, Siskel, I'm just going to make this quote up. This is not a real quote, so don't take this. Siskel and Ebert say that horror movies are oppressive to women. Let's just say oppressive. Now we put our quote here. We're not going to put the ending punctuation because that goes after the citation. Parentheses, and I believe that author's name, that one is this weird one. I believe it's Eric Hansen because he's tagged in it, but I'm not going to make that assumption. Oh, I can't even copy it. Zeithman. Okay. I'll add it to the dictionary, and then I can copy it. Okay. So that is the author listed. We put his name. Oh, see how it messed that up? Then we put the period. Now, when you copy and paste, sometimes this happens. You need to make sure everything goes back to 12. Okay? All right, so that's how you do in-text citation. Now, this is for websites. If there was a book, you would also do like a space if it was page 35 and do that. This is not a book. These websites don't have page numbers. They're not paginated. So we're just going to put the author's name. If they have an author, if they don't, we put the first name of the article. Okay, so now we're done with our essay. Great, we've included it in text citations, we've done the summaries. Now we need to include the works cited. So we're going to go up to the insert again. And we're going to do we're going to go to break and page break. This will take us down to the next page. And that way, if you like do a bunch of returns, if you go back and edit, it'll like mess up your next pages, right? But this way, if you have a page break, it always goes to the top of the next page. Okay, works cited. The title is centered and the name is works cited. So not bibliography. We don't need a colon. That doesn't belong here. This is your title, okay? Now, always look up. MLA changes every year. This isn't something you remember how to do, and even if you do remember, it's likely to have changed since the last time you did it. So look it up all the time. I went ahead and made it for us. I didn't include the article that nobody summarized, but let's say that we did these two. See how it's in alphabetical order? I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste. Also, see here, this is the hanging indent. This is how you want to do it so that if you add words here, it keeps in the format instead of like, if it was tabbed, it would have a weird space right here between like this. There would be like a weird tab space. Ooh, KKK. Didn't mean to do that. Anyways, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy. In fact, I'll go ahead and copy the whole thing and just delete and just delete the middle one because that's not the one I do. Even if I don't have quotes from all of them, I'm referring to them, I need to have them in my works cited. Okay, so you have your works cited. Now, last thing, we're going to move down to our writer's memo. So we're again going to insert a page break. We're going to have a title, centered, writer's memo. And then we will write our writer's memo here. So I want it to be after the works cited. It is separate. It's like it is part of the assignment, but it's separate from the actual essay. So I want it below. Write the writer's memo here. Remember, each of your 3 reasons gets its own 3 choices that you are going to describe, gets its own paragraph. Okay, remember that when you're writing that. This should be, the entire memo should be at least 300 words long. Oh no, you see what happened there? It's because of this. So that's for the works cited. Now that I'm at this, I'm going to go ahead and mess with this. So I'm just going to bring this back. And this also goes back so it doesn't go. We want to make sure we keep our 1-inch margins. Okay, so it's normal again. Cool. So this I have included in week 4. Works cited, so you can just copy and paste from there. So I hope this video wasn't too long. I just wanted to go over this summary and synthesis. This is your second major assignment, so it is an important one. So please make sure you have all of these components before you submit on Monday. So again, let me know if you have any questions, and watch out for another video coming soon about Unit 3, which we'll be getting into next week. So thank you and have a great day.